Tuning in and
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Please subscribe, please like, and send questions, and we'll try and do all of that.
Yes.
I have a question for Hersh.
Yes, sir.
हर्ष, आप वो इंटीग्रेटेड वाला क्वेरी का आंसर लेके आए?
Yes, sir.
आज लेके आए हो आप?
लेके आए हो।
सामने वो क्वेश्चन पूछा गया, तो आज हर्ष के पास
आज का रिस्पॉन्स कल शाम को ही आ गया था कि मेरे 2 दिन से मेरे को टाइम नहीं मिल गया। बताओ अब बताओ।
बट हर्ष को टाइम मिल नहीं सकता है लॉजिकली, बिकॉज एक दिन में 24 घंटे ही होते हैं। अगर कोई बंदा तय कर ले कि उसको 30 घंटे काम करना है दिन में, तो फिर कैसे होगा? टाइम नहीं होगा ना।
पर मैंने ऐसे तय किया ही नहीं है सर।
लगता है लेकिन ऐसा है। Anyways.
So a lot of the so we kind of
starting with the micro.
हाँ micro.
अच्छा चलो.
So and please chip in as well.
I think we should wait.
हाँ ठीक है. Let's start
with
the
person might just know. The person might tune in
little later.
No question आने दो.
हाँ ठीक है.
नहीं
question आया नहीं था. Before starting the question we'll address it.
बाद में. हाँ. अच्छा चलो.
हाँ ठीक.
चलो let's do it.
ठीक है.
अभी बताओ अभी कर रहे हैं.
नहीं before starting the
questions list के पहले करते हैं.
मैक्रो से शुरू करते हैं. Trump he's leaving G7 midway.
मतलब it's a
indication
that India has evacuated people from Tehran.
That's true. Means they have been given ground support to exit because airspace is closed, so they've been asked to go through land space to exit Iran, and India is evacuating around 2,000 to 3,000 people. Students are there actually.
Really?
A lot of students from J&K study medicine in Iran.
Oh,
it's one of the largest component of this 2,000 to 3,000 people who are in Iran are students from J&K, Jammu and Kashmir. They're doing the higher studies. They're doing the medicine from Iran. That's means when I was hearing the reports and the parents talking about it, what they do, most of them are saying कि medicine पढ़ रहे हैं, PhD कर रहे हैं, those kind of stuff.
Okay, well, hopefully safe evacuation to
Yeah, but that we are experts in it. I mean, we don't have to. I mean, the MEA is expert in
doing this,
getting Indians out from any zone.
Anywhere. That I agree. No, but I just wish safety for everybody in all forms of conflict, right? I mean, it's horrific what's happening, but everywhere across. But
things are not stabilizing. See, yesterday evening, Trump said, "Oh, Iran wants to de-escalate." And towards the end, he's saying to evacuate Tehran,
which means
things are not going
rapidly
evolving.
Yeah, no wonder. I mean, and yesterday I was reading a Gavical note by Charles Gav, and he's a veteran, right? So when he writes something, you read and you kind of take notice of it. So his view is that the de-escalation, according to him, will not happen in a hurry because of varied reasons that he's given. And his view is that there is a very high probability that oil may escalate or flare up all the way to 100.
Could be. See, if oil is escalating to 100, then the escalation is going to be very steep.
Yep.
Simple as that.
Swift, you mean? Right?
Yeah. In the conflict escalation which I'm talking about, is going to be very steep. Is going to happen in that sense. And why it's going to be that way is because of the kind of casualties which Iran is facing with respect to its top leadership being eliminated or targeted there. Even now, I think some chief of staff of wartime or something has been killed in an Israeli attack.
No, he was replaced. He replaced the earlier
one, and he's also now killed.
He's also now killed. So whoever's getting replaced is getting targeted.
It's getting targeted, and so that brings in the the uncertainty from the Iran point of view of what kind of weapons now it's going to use.
No, there are a lot of uncertainties beyond that also, right? The oil facilities are being targeted, and if indeed Iran doesn't have the oil income, it doesn't have the money to give its resources, its troops money, and that is a big issue when it comes to war conflict, right?
And nearly 70 to 80% of the Iranian crude is being imported by China. So if that comes to a halt or gets disrupted, then China is going to come into the market for that particular crude, which is 3-4% of the total OPEC output. Yeah, but that demand is going to push the prices up of crude, which is there. So.
But sorry, I'm just trying to understand. Therefore, so would a 3-4% crude
Demand.
supply impact cause crude to rise by 33%? Crude prices.
It's not about 3%. It's
3% in a month.
Month.
And sentiment working against.
Sentiment, I agree, but otherwise, just logically speaking,
See, today
33%.
China is not there for that crude in this
Yes.
in the market.
Yes.
Now it will come into the market, and there's already a crude demand which is there. Now there's a conflict premium which has been building up for the last 1 week or 10
Correct.
days, which is around $6 to $7 or something, because we have hit $75, $76 or something.
Correct.
Which is there, right? Now from there to it could be two things which will come into force. One is that more demand comes from the major country, which is China, because if China, remember the crude prices were also coming down because demand from China was low. Now this demand will also come in, in that sense. The second thing which can be counter, Niraj.
No, before that counter, just one more thing. The other thing that he writes in his article is that if Iran were to close the Strait of Hormuz, etc.,
Yes.
right, then everybody gets involved in the conflict.
Yes.
US
Yes.
gets involved,
Yes.
Bahrain,
Yes.
so Bahrain troops in Bahrain, so US gets involved. A lot of other countries get involved,
UAE
and that effectively
look at the
That
leads
creates
to
a huge issue.
So it's not just then. In times of conflict, it's not about demand supply alone. Right?
Look at
it's like gold moves up.
Yeah. So look at that entire Strait of Hormuz. Saudi, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, all of them in one line which is there. So, and US has already doubled its carrier fleet, means they have put the second carrier fleet in the Middle East now.
Yeah,
so that's another tension.
Yeah,
which
stressful
is going to
times.
come. But the only counter thing in Niraj is that crude output is expected to go up in July, because OPEC has already announced the crude output, and they're also asking for an output increase in August. So that could be some kind of a savior in terms of the quantum of jump that can happen. We are not, I don't know what exactly is that.
देखो Charles जो बोल रहा है 100, it could be 105, it could be 95.
Even if it goes to
We don't
85,
know.
it's a big thing, na?
Yeah, that's the point. So there is a flare up likely.
And then you start importing inflation into the country, because countries like
Thankfully
India.
out there, we are okay.
Yeah, means we have that buffer in that sense. So that's something which is important.
देखें. So that was with regards to Israel and it's a developing situation.
मीन्स शाम को देखो तो मार्केट ऊपर जा रहा है, और सुबह उठ के देखो तो भाई ये तो पूरा उल्टा हो गया.
Well, that is a worry. That aside, interesting developments in a lot of individual companies today. Z, Starlight Tech.
What's your view on Z fundraise? They already have 2,400 odd crores in the book.
But this is let's put it this way. I'm not a skeptic here. The reason I'm not a skeptic when it comes to this announcement is that it's not a tiny toon 100 crores dollar at a price which is 120.
132, na?
हाँ वही बोल रहा हूँ. It is not 100 crores at 120.
2,000 crores.
It is 2,200 crores at 132. Right? They're choosing to put in at a slightly higher price and a sizable sum. Market cap is 13,000 crores. They're putting in 2,000 crores, taking their stake higher. So the promoters are finally saying that, okay, we are putting in our money where our mouth is. Now,
so let me ask you a simple question. Okay, Z doesn't need cash. It has 2,400 crores cash. But you're putting in another 2,000 crores. Maybe because of the new content strategy that you started.
Or maybe some inorganic moves.
Whatever it is, it could be leading to that
That's
content
the
strategy.
moment,
Leading to that content strategy, right? That you're going to go for small video clips, kind of stuff which is there. Now, the thing is that if promoter wanted to increase the thing, there was enough opportunity in the market for them to buy at a lower price. Right? Because promoter had only 3.5%. They could have easily bought the shares from the market. That could have given the share of. See, while a promoter infusing capital is a good thing because it infuses, bringing in skin in the game. But buying from the market is also a skin in the game, saying that, okay, my shares are undervalued and I can buy at a low price.
Maybe don't do it that way, or do some bit of it that way, but largely put the money in the company.
But we didn't see a single thing, right? Means so far we haven't seen a single.
देखो स्टॉक भागा भी है ना लास्ट 10-15 दिन में.
Exactly.
उसमें भी शायद कुछ एक्टिविटी
पर उससे पहले
तो ठीक है वही तो बोल रहा हूँ. Maybe the promoters were advised that don't do a creeping thing. Don't do it. Maybe the promoters were advised that don't do it from the market. Put the money in the company. Put your money where your mouth is.
And Again, it's a warrant issue, so they have 18 months to convert the warrants. Warrants हमको याद आया एक और warrant वाला
सजीत ने स्टोरी लिखी है यार.
Ugro Capital. I was told that you have an opposite view of what I have.
No, I don't. Okay, I
So
don't.
let's give us
no, I don't have a view per se on this. I don't track it as closely.
So for the viewers, we can just give you the basic stuff which is there, right? 2024 they raised funds through warrants, and the warrant price was.
Like, sorry, before you go to that, Z complete नहीं हुआ है.
Z
Z complete तो करो पहले.
Okay, we said that.
No, so therefore, what I said was.
You are saying that there's an inorganic move.
I think it's whether it's an inorganic move or whatever, or whether the promoters were advised that don't buy from the open market but put the money in form of warrants in the company, whatever it may be. I like the fact that there is a show of confidence or the statement that the promoters are making that they are putting a large sum into the company at a point of time when the market cap is 13,000 crores. We are putting 2,200 crores into the company, which shows that our skin is in the game, and I take it as a positive. Now, whether it succeeds or no is separate.
5,000 crore का क्या करेंगे? What's your sense?
A lot of talk about them and a Southern Channel merging. Who knows? I mean, I don't know whether that happens.
If the Southern Channel is to merge with them, then there would be a minority.
मेरे हिसाब से improbable है.
Minority भी नहीं होगा.
मेरे हिसाब से improbable है. All right, part 1. But part 2 could well be that they are upping their stake in the entity so that if there were to be any merger, any organic moves or anything like that, there is some money that they have some stake that they have with them. I have no idea, right? Who knows? But my limited point being, this action isolation is important. इसका जो repercussion है वो secondary point.
There are two bets here. One, that okay, this brings in the skin in the game. The second, the thing is that the price of Z will go up above 132 rupees or stay above 132, so that in the next 18 months
there is merit. There is merit.
Okay, so so that the conversions of warrant happen at a future point in time. Simple as that. That's the two things which come out for me. But that should also be accompanied by the fundamentally how the company is performing in terms of revenues and profitability and margins. Whether it's able to go back to the old margins and profitability level, that's a question that is still questionable because all analysts all analysts are little wary about.
And EPS dilutive because you
that
will
is
have
okay. ठीक है, means EPS dilute अगर you get the fundamentals back on the for Z, then EPS dilution will be marginal in that sense because आपका EPS अभी कितना 12-15 तक का कुछ है,
वही check
15% EPS dilution है इसका.
हाँ, 18% EPS. If you are asking me EPS dilution, it's around 18 to 19%.
19% जो है.
But your margins.
Which your EPS has to grow by more than 25% for that to happen.
Margins have come down from 25% to 11%
See,
in the
double,
last year.
So you have to get back that. So for you to sustain
I see
that,
what you're saying.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
And then your interest cost also goes away because you have very little to no debt. So.
working capital. But Ugro Capital. So आप मुझे basic बताइए. You interviewed him when the announcement happened.
Yes.
And then there was some surprises that came.
Let's tell the viewers what the announcement was.
Yeah.
So the announcement was a 1,315 crore raise. It was a CCD plus rights issue raise. And this was supposed to replace last time's equity and share warrants or CCD plus share warrants raise which they did in 2024. They did that raise at 264 rupees per share. Now they are doing the raise at 185 rupees per share. Why is that so? CCDs, the buyers who have bought are fully invested. They can't do anything. But a large chunk of that was share warrants. Now when you are doing share warrants at 265 and the stock price falls to 185, typically, and it's a partly paid warrant, right? So you have only 25% of the warrant which has been paid upfront, and thereafter, over the next 18 months, the buyer has the option to pay in the balance amount to subscribe to the full 265 rupees for which they are due to pay and receive the warrant, and thereafter the conversion to equity will happen. So because the stock price hasn't moved to 265, the company felt that it's very unlikely that these buyers will come in and exercise their or rather
Convert
pay
it.
in the amount and convert the warrant and convert it into equity. Capital adequacy was shrinking. It's a fast growing company. That is where the concern was. My question was quite simple. My question was,
before the question. While all this was informed as part of the release initially,
Yeah.
the shareholders got a shock through a postal ballot because they were seeking an approval from the shareholders. What did the postal ballot say? The postal ballot said that the CCDs has an upfront 12.5% coupon or interest rate, which has to be given to them. And CCDs were convertible at 185 rupees per share. They also said that there's additional 12.5% coupon or interest which will be given to the holders of warrants if they decide not to exercise the conversion of the warrants. Which basically means the warrant holders and the CCD holders in this are the common investor in that sense. That's why.
Are both of them common?
yes.
Yes. So the question that was raised by an investor advisory firm, IIS, was that why should there's a governance question first of. It seems like then you're paying for the 25% already you paid and warrants in the earlier issue, and that is an issue, big issue, because फर्स्टली CCDs में इट्स लाइक मेरे को 185 रुपीज़ का CCD चाहिए, पर मैं 185 मिलते ही मुझे तो आपको 23 रुपये वापस देने हैं क्योंकि 12.5% देना है. और कन्वर्जन से पहले, कन्वर्जन के समय हमें दूँ दूसरी बात है. मीन्स आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड 12% कूपन रेट विच यू हैव टू पे to the investor at the time of conversion. That's a different thing, because then I have to give you that additional cash, or you have to give additional shares, whatever form it is, right? But I have to do it before conversion and not even wait for 18 months. Secondly, in the next couple of months, when the warrant closure happens and at maturity of the warrants they don't exercise, I have to give them another 12.5%. So the question is that why should you give that to the warrant? People entered into a warrant with the knowing fact that it has an inherent risk of being an equity conversion risk which is there. अगर ऊपर जाता तो आपको अपसाइड मिलता, नीचे जाता तो आपका लॉस है, तो लॉस would be is curbed at 25%.
Basically, why hold a company ransom? It's the warrant holder's fault. You have played foul and you are going to suffer for it. Why is that so? My logic. Okay, my logic is simple. If I was a warrant holder at 265, why should I not exercise just because the price falls? Right? I've already paid up 65 rupees. I have to pay only 200. The price is at 180. Had I borne that 10% risk, that loss, that notional loss of 65 तो मेरा चला गया है, right? अभी मेरा notional loss सिर्फ 20 रुपए का है. Had I just borne the 20 rupee loss, right, it's very likely that the market would have taken this as a positive, sentimental positive. Ki boss, Samena, as the biggest holder, is willing to put in money even now despite having the option not to put in. They still see value. You know, I don't understand why you wouldn't put in money at that price. You go ahead and put it, give that sentimental positive to the market. Now what you're doing is you're tinkering to save the 10-12 rupees, 10% plus 12.5 rupees, 32.5 rupees per warrant. Just to save that, you're tinkering with the stock price and you're creating chaos in the market, which is exactly what's happening. So, and that's point number one. Second, it's a governance issue. And third, the biggest issue is, think about it, for someone who's holding the stock at 240. It's not egregiously expensive at 240. It was, if you were a buyer at 240, you were probably paying 1.3 times price to book 6-7 months back when the price was that, right? So at 1.3, 1.4 times for a 35% growth company, not bad at all, right? You'd be a buyer. You go in and buy at 240, and thereafter, 8 months later, you're told by the management that, hey, yes, 65 rupees is forfeited, okay? But now you have to additionally bear 12.5 rupees. And I'm like, what for? 65 rupees forfeited was something I had already taken on my books, right? When I factored in a buy price of 240. Let's take it in stark contrast. Say I bought at 240, at 190 it looks even better, right? So you went in and bought even more at 190, right? Thinking that 65 rupees तो anyway भी मेरा forfeit हुआ है, तो अच्छी बात है, 190 is as good as, as good as 100 and maybe 70 bucks that I am actually purchasing the stock for, because 65 rupees is accruing to me, some part of that, and therefore, I have gone in and bought it at 190 with a certain rationale. Now the management has gone and arbitrarily reversed that rationale. That's not fair on a buyer at 190. For those coming in afresh, there may be investors coming in afresh at 185. They come in with their eyes wide open that Ugro is going to pay 12.5 rupees to the CCD holders. So they come in with their eyes wide open. For them, it's not unfair. But for the holders who have been holding at 240 and 190,
So is
Existential
SEBI
holding.
doing something about this?
to me, extremely unfair.
It's
extremely
so,
unfair.
you know,
Is
my
it against the guidelines? Is SEBI doing something about this?
See, there is legally the two things are separate, right? And that's what Ugro is arguing. And means Ugro has responded to IIS, and they are arguing that these two are separate things. If these two are separate things, then why the second fundraiser has a clause saying that if the holders don't convert warrants, then we'll give them 12.5%.
So good. So we'll get the management and we'll quiz them on this.
And when I spoke with the management, I had asked them this, that is there any other clause which is unfavorable to shareholders? And they said no. You can go and check out the interview.
Cool. So
Maybe I can also go and check it out again if I have made an error. But at that point, this clause was not disclosed. This clause is disclosed later on, and that's why it is slightly questionable.
So we'll get the management again.
So let's go into
and
the
try and
questions,
call them.
because we have a couple of questions coming in.
No, but I'm just laying the point. We'll call the management again when we'll quiz them on this.
Yes.
Yep.
Before we go to the questions, integrate.
Oh yes, sorry. So integrate. Now typically, and sir, please, both of you, please come in. Think about this as long-term assets, right? When you are entering into long-term 25, 30-year contractual agreements with say a 5, 6, 7, 8, 10% escalation annually basis the inflation in the system, and largely those escalations will be linked to inflation. When you are entering into such contracts, if you enter into a floating rate borrowing agreement, that leaves you very exposed. That can be dangerous, because if your inflation were to go up, right, significantly, and your contract does not allow you to raise your rental rates in sync with inflation, then you will start to see the repo go up significantly and your borrowing cost go up significantly. Let me explain. If the way in which you've computed your waterfall or the cash flow that comes and goes straight to the investor, if the manner you've computed that is on the basis of a linked loan to the rental yield that you are getting, then a sudden increase in your loan or your borrowing rate will cause a very large impact on that distribution waterfall that you are getting. Why? If 1,000 rupees you're getting, if you've said that okay, 700 is my interest, 300 will go to unit holders, then this 700, if it goes up to 8 or 900 in a matter of a year, as it happened in 2022, leaves you with a very large risk on your balance sheet. So a lot of the loans are fixed rated, therefore, in WITs and REITs.
And one more reason being is that these are capital assets which are there, which have a lifespan of 20-30 years.
Yeah.
And so, and when some of the loan which they take are long-term loans, which which is spread over 10 to 15 or 20 years there. So that's one of the reasons why you have, in many cases, we have fixed rates. Of course, when the rates go down, you have always the opportunity of buying the lower loan and replacing the high cost loans which are there. But generally for capital assets, the loan rates are very fixed in nature. They're not flexible like a home loan or other stuff which is there.
Yeah, guys, we'll have to take questions. It's
Yes. चलो पहला सवाल क्या है? Jigadish Sharma, always a pleasure listening to your conversation, guys. If possible, do a KYC on PG Invit, which is sitting with 14 to 15% dividend yield. PG Invit is a private Invit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a private Invit.
No, it's a listed Invit.
Listed private Invit, right?
But
Public Invit नहीं है. Is it?
I don't know what a public and private Invit is.
I mean, where retail are not there.
No, retail is very much there.
Yeah,
listed.
If it's listed, how can
Exactly.
Private views.
Huh? Really?
Huh. The many InvITs which are there.
Listing is compulsory for an InvIT.
InvIT.
So that is compulsory.
Private भी हो सकता है. But I don't know. I need to check that.
One second, but I'll check it right now.
ठीक है. Hersh, this is for you. That was for you actually.
I will check.
Shubham Dimri, sir, your view on Happiest Mind.
No, the view is same for most IT companies, right, which are digital. That
ठीक है. Oh, it's a
public
InvIT. So,
Just
so you
Google it.
have one more KYC.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
Yeah, Happiest Mind.
I mean, all IT is moving up because they believe that now the second half might be a lot better than what was earlier in Visage, right? Goldman Sachs today note on KPIT, Citi note kind of on.
What do you make of the Citi note? The rating is same, price targets have been increased, and the multiple has been increased by 2 times for FY27.
हाँ, मतलब थोड़ा बहुत ऊपर किया है और टिंकरिंग because stocks भी ऊपर गए हैं, right? So therefore he's just updating his model effectively. But
Yeah.
Surinder Goel was with us on the show, right?
Yeah.
He was not sounding very constructive as yet.
Is basically adjusting to the price rise basically.
yeah.
तो basically अगर 24 से 26 हो गया तो अभी already 26 के ऊपर चल रहा है.
हाँ,
Simple as that.
वही फंडा है.
Yeah, but IT
few
has
people are
done so
constructive.
well last 3-4
Even today,
sessions,
IT is
up
outlier.
1% today.
1% up today.
Yeah,
It's only
like
a lot of IT stocks have done very well, right? Goldman note today on KPIT. So they have also kept the target at 1280 only. They have not hiked the target. But they are saying that H2 is seemingly looking very good for order inflow, for ERD. So the same might hold true for others. And we are seeing deals now every day, every morning we are talking about one deal win or the other for the IT companies. कभी Emphasis, कभी HCL Tech, कभी Infi, कभी TCS, कभी Wipro, सबको deals मिल रहे हैं.
पहले वो छोटे छोटे डील बताते नहीं थे.
अभी
पता नहीं पहले सिर्फ 100-200 मिलियन.
But अभी वो legacy deals चले गए ना वैसे भी. अभी now they are getting short cycle deals.
So
any which way.
they want that thing क्या था deal आ रहे हैं.
Deal flow है.
Deal flow है. It's all about the fun. Crude substituents impacting detergents and safe cleaners. Only India will take a hit on it. Not necessary. Anyone using a crude derivative can take a hit on it, provided and it is subject to whether you are able to pass on that cost to the consumer or not.
Yeah, but as a nation, if you are saying that higher crude prices means India takes a hit, yes, it does.
Yeah.
Very well does. I mean, definitely does. India is a large importer of crude.
Karthik Vashist, appreciate the daily dose of market lessons, guys. Seems like the rate cut limelight is still on banks and NBFCs, and reality is quietly consolidating for a multi-year breakout across H2 2025. Thoughts, sir?
I mean, you could argue yes, right? I mean, banks and NBFCs, the cycle we've spoken about it
Reality.
enough. Real estate. I mean, I think inventories have gone up, but yeah, this rate cut downtick will certainly propel sentiment and maybe some sales of real estate. So yeah, not a I mean, reasonable argument. I don't know whether a breakout happens or not, but seems to be a reasonable argument.
Know your market more. Will war impact Adani ports overall? Also, what's the future
Sir, yeah,
for them?
बताएं.
I don't think. Means the only exposure they have is Haifa, and Haifa is so far safe and operational. That's what the official announcement is. Beyond that, I don't think it's going to have any impact on any of the ports. In fact, some of the because of the transshipment now starting in India, there could be some diversion coming into India instead of going to the Middle East. So that could be one of the benefits for many of the ports, which is there. Know your markets more. हो गया. Srivastava Rao, what's happening in Raymond lifestyle and also in branded textiles in general?
Branded textiles look okay, right? Today we spoke to Pearl Global. That outlook seems positive, but the problem currently is that the shipping rates have gone up, right? And if they stay up due to the duration of the conflict in a busy season leading up to July 4th, that holiday
US,
for the US, it could mean margins could get curtailed.
In fact, this is the peak season for shipping because you have a July 9th deadline also coming in.
That too.
So everyone is just pushing their stuff into the US. वहाँ पर फिर बाद में जाके देखेंगे कि बिकता कब है. But that's
Yeah, but shipping rates have really
and insurance has also gone up. Actually.
Yes.
So these two have been a big and we spoke about it last time, right? When we were talking about what kind of disruption it can cause. It's all about fun. Saw a video of 2025 being an exact same replica of the calendar year 1941.
That's
अरे
interesting.
बाप रे.
कौन सा वीडियो भाई?
भाई कौन सा वीडियो है भेजो because
All the
Pearl
events so
Harbor
far
clearly
happened.
hasn't happened yet,
All,
and I hope it doesn't happen.
all the events so far have been repeated. So is the markets.
Yeah, is it? पता
Well,
नहीं
there is
है.
a conflict on.
But it's not.
Germany is not involved, but
there is no German invasion of Soviet Union or the likes.
but vice versa. The
Have we
characters may
seen-
change, but there's a conflict. I think that's what he's trying to say.
No, but there's been no
You
invasion, no, per se. I mean,
But you know,
could argue Russia invasion of Ukraine.
पर वो तो यार 2022 से चल
तो
रहा है.
41 में भी 39 से चालू
but
था.
last 3 साल से if you see the pearls of
39,
conflict
40, 41.
pearls of conflict तो हो ही रहा है ना.
So,
इधर आता है, इधर शांत होता है, यहाँ
देखो
पे
हम लोग
शांत होता है, यहाँ पे
लॉजिकली
शांत
ये
होता है,
देखना पड़ेगा. Could be interesting. And he's saying for the markets as well. ये हमें पता नहीं था. भाई, thank you for the update यार. We didn't know this. Thank you. It's all about the fun. देखना पड़ेगा.
if possible, put the link to notes, Niraj.
Put the link. Who's this? Oh, Charles. Who's this? Charles Gav.
हाँ, Gavin का.
Is Charles Gav is the founder of Geopolitical Research. But I mean,
can get it,
It's no, it's a subscriber.
Subscriber only.
Yeah.
So
you
if
can go to Geopolitical Research and subscribe to their research. Yeah.
Okay. Kartikeya Panwar, Gravita promoter sold shares, out of which Motilal bought some percentage and the rest was bought as of now by anonymous.
No, maybe we'll call Gravita and try and figure out the promoter का अगर recycling
Was
इतना
a sale,
strong है
हाँ.
तो why is it that they are, I don't know what they've sold but we should figure it out.
I can
We should
check.
call the company.
Weber said infrastructure Nifty ETF as investment idea. Infra Nifty ETF. Infra Nifty ETF.
So off late infra में भी थोड़ा road infra अगर वो थोड़ा problem हो गया है. The order inflow has gone down a bit.
Gone down, yeah. तो तो
I don't know about the thematic ETF like infra currently.
अब उसमें पूरा रोड ही नहीं होगा, बाकी भी होंगे, बाकी इंफ्रा भी होंगे उसके अंदर.
I'm sure होंगे.
होंगे.
But sorry, don't have a view.
So sorry, I want to quickly circle back on that Gravita India. Around 25 lakh shares have been sold at 1992 rupees a share. So 500 crore worth of shares sold.
तो promoter sold that.
In May of 2025. Currently, stock price is 1719 rupees per share.
They sold at 1900. Okay. KYC on Take Solutions. See, आपके पूरे
अरे यार ये Take Solutions must be like sub 500 crore यार. It's difficult to do work KYC on a company
and
like that.
Naper roll.
I don't know what Nepro is.
वो भी यार वो भी वैसा ही कुछ मतलब it
अच्छा.
has to be
But
sub
you have a lot
600
of
unless
you have a lot of lists which is coming on for KYC.
yeah. So I mean appreciate the interest. I just sent out a list of almost 45 companies today morning to the team to try and get for KYC. And yes, I mean, over and above, I've factored in some of the names which you all have given, but smaller names, 100 to 500 crore is difficult to do a KYC. It's not that I'm apprehensive, it's just that we don't cover it as much because of the nature of
But you should look at
the
look at
governance.
it.
Also,
etc.
from a news station perspective, you have to do stuff which is of wider interest. Right?
Yes.
And therefore, it has to be a larger
Which has a
company so that
wider
more
shareholder
people-
base, basically.
Exactly, so that
Yeah.
more people benefit out of it.
And
Right.
also just
scope to
governance,
the end.
right? Also just governance. You're promoting companies which may not have the best governance. There are these risks of governance as well. So,
All of that.
yeah. So
Maybe
it's
you
a little-
can look at a segment within KYC. SME KYC.
No, let's take it offline.
So we are so short on time on
Okay.
KYC in
We
any
on
case.
Sula. You're the wine drinker.
No, I'm a wine drinker. No, but Sula has had issues, right? They're not able to scale up because I think the same argument, right? Beer, wine, etc., is not scaling up as much as whiskey is, and therefore there is an issue. Basically, I mean, for a company which is a wine company and supposedly going to grow, right? I mean, I love Sula Rasa as a wine, but my limited point being, a lot of their revenue additions and growth is coming in from wine tourism. So, what does that tell you about the basic inherent market that is not growing fast enough? Why? Enough growth opportunities out there.
Okay. Dakshish Kapoor has a question outlook on market valuation and will the geopolitical risk,
आप बताओ.
especially impact of USA entering the entire thing.
आप बताओ.
It's very risky. Means I can't even guess. Means if US gets in, then it's going to be a long drawn one. That's what my view is.
Your hunches.
Hunches, yeah.
Okay.
Means long drawn भी हो सकता है और
बहुत ज़्यादा shift भी हो सकता है.
हाँ, shock and awe भी हो सकता है. Simple.
So yesterday, we spoke to Jonathan Chazelle. When I posed the same question to him, he said that clearly markets are ignoring and it's a large risk. So that's his view.
Yes,
And
they
Jonathan
like
Chazelle is a big voice.
Yep.
Okay.
So when he comes and says that, I think it means something.
SJ Wonders is asking about Sterlite Tech. What's happening?
We just did. In fact, the interview might just have happened, and a lot of talks. In fact, Somit, who tracks this very closely, was telling me there is some rumor of they tying up with a very large global firm as well. So a lot of talks floating around. It's been a massive run. I wonder if the interview might still be on or just getting on.
हुआ था ना अभी बीच में?
वो तो बहुत पहले हो गया ना? बहुत पहले हो गया. But you might want to tune in. I think the interview would just be starting in the next 5 minutes. So you might want to tune in for that. We'll ask all the questions because even we were wondering कि इतना तेजी क्यों है?
Okay, I think we are coming to an end of the questions. Cyclical
We should
nature
end
of
the show as well.
Yeah,
12:40.
given the cyclical nature of aviation industry, Q1 generally expected to be strong, but I don't think Q1 will be strong this time, right? We have domestic issue, geopolitical, we have global geopolitical. All this may have an issue.
Yeah, and I think Operation Sindoor and that whole thing also curtailed a little bit of travel in the month of May. So very likely not a very strong Q1. And QOQ will not look good at all because
वो तो
महाकुंभ का इफेक्ट
का इफेक्ट था. अच्छा, फाइनल क्वेश्चन कार्तिक. ग्रेट शो गाइस, वेरी इंसाइटफुल कन्वर्सेशंस. इज जीएमडीसी अ रेयर अर्थ मेटल प्ले?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
No?
I mean, for the future, yes. Currently, GMDC is a very strong current business as well.
Yeah.
But for the future, yes, it is a rare earth metal play for sure, yes.
Okay, so Arjun Sarkar, great trio, keep the good work up. Thank you, Arjun. I wonder if we have any show like this for US markets. Q1 bank stroke NBFCs already have gone up. What do you think will be the sector driving the Nifty next?
ऐसा कोई शो कहीं पे भी नहीं है.
It's
सिर्फ
यहाँ पर है.
सिर्फ यहाँ पे है.
Is it
bank
IT?
बैंक निफ्टी नेक्स्ट, राइट? नेक्स्ट 50 उसमें फाइनेंशियल्स का बहुत कम स्टेक है एक्चुअली. There are other sectors which are
No, he's not saying Nifty next 50. He's saying what will drive Nifty next, from here on.
Okay.
Is it IT? That is what he's asking.
IT has driven in the last.
मुझे तो लगता है banks.
Banks?
BFSI. I mean, there is no other way. I think BFSI. Numbers will start showing. People will. अभी भी ऐसा कुछ नहीं overweight है ज़्यादा. तो चलेगा. Nifty के लिए BFSI.
Okay.
Okay, good.
There is this suggestion. SJ wonders. ChatGPT के पे KYC कर लो folks for these small stroke micro caps. I believe that's a recommendation for the viewers. So yes, that's a good recommendation. SJ wonders, thank you. Descending, अच्छा Starlight Tech. फिर और कुछ मिस हुआ है क्या?
नहीं, बस इधर asking वोडाफोन मर्ज होगा क्या BSNL के साथ? BSNL के साथ क्यों नहीं
कर सकते हैं. Anyway भी अभी almost majority हो गया
दो
है.
बेचारे बिना सहारे.
No, but BSNL, they are really ramping up a lot of things.
है ना, वही है ना. दो बेचारे बिना सहारे.
No, but it's good, yeah. It's good to not have a duopoly, ना.
हाँ.
So अच्छी बात है. होने दो.
पर एक प्लेयर कम हो जाएगा ना फिर.
ठीक है.
फिर डुओपोली हो जाएगा प्राइवेट में.
ठीक है. वैसे भी वोडाफोन नियरली गवर्नमेंट कंपनी बोल सकते हैं, राइट? टेक्निकली तो.
अच्छा अनुपम आहूजा. Hersh gives me a reminder of your pair with Darshan Mehta on Quint. I don't know what he's referring to, but
Darshan, yeah.
thank you Anupam. And
Darshan was a super asset, right?
Yes,
so
yeah.
you should take it as a compliment.
yeah, I do. I mean, very, very, very humbled. I don't think I'm anywhere close to him, but yes. View on NTPC Green. You know what? We'll actually take this up in closing
tomorrow.
Yeah.
or tomorrow. One of the
final
two.
thing on Oswal IPO is closing today, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's fully subscribed.
Okay.
1400 crores they are raising. A large part of it is for making solar modules. They have a 1100 crores order book which is pending, which is with them, and they are big beneficiary of PM Kusum solar water pumps, which is there, and I think there is already a competition for them in the market in terms of pump. So I haven't seen much of an institutional interest so far, but it's just IPO is I think fairly priced, 20 times forward earnings. That's what I saw. FY26 के numbers में 20 times forward earnings था उसका.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in.
खाना आया आज?
हाँ.
केक भी आई है पुनीत की. मैं तो नहीं खा पाऊंगा, बट
Sorry, I'll go. I need to.
Yeah.